Welcome to the Female Finance Collective podcast, where we encourage women to have open and honest conversations about all things money.
I'm Jen, and I struggled for many years with debt and feeling financially overwhelmed, so I know how frustrating it can be. Now I'm passionate about helping women confidently take control of their personal finances.
And I'm Mary Lee. As a financial planner, I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of women who've transformed their financial lives. I'm excited to share my insights to help you on your financial journey.
Hey, I'm Sybil. I built my dream life traveling the world and creating financial freedom on a teacher's salary. Now I help women take charge of their money and burn brighter in life.
Let's start the money conversation.
Hello, hello. Welcome back. We're so glad to see you today. Today we're talking all about kind of that mid-year goal check-in. And don't panic if you're like, she's saying financial goals. Oh no, I got to turn this episode off. Don't do that. Stick with us, because we too, when we were planning for this episode and talking about what we wanted to share, are also like, oh my gosh, our financial goals, right? Because while if you do set goals, which we're proud of you if you do, and if you don't yet, we really want you to listen into this conversation, because goals can be really helpful and help you live your day-to-day life in a way that you want to when it comes to your finances, okay? Because it is summertime and we're about halfway through the year, ladies. I can't even believe it. Like, where does time go? And that's especially a true statement when we think about goals, right? We have so long to meet that goal. I'll get there. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I have to look back and actually see how it went. And if I met my goals, if I not. So let's go ahead and have a chat about that. Who would like to start us off?
I'll start off, and I know you think I was going to dig into a task or getting a data point, but I think the best place to start is just with a check-in question and just asking yourself how you're feeling about money and how your stress level is. Do you feel guilty? Are you having feelings like, you're behind? Or are you feeling great? Do you feel like you've accomplished what you wanted to? Do you feel more confident than you did 6 months ago? And sometimes a scale can be helpful for reference. So just simple scale of 1 to 5, one, being like you are feeling kind of um, mega stressed, not great. Money feels yucky right now. And 5 is awesome, empowered, you're crushing your goals. And just doing that each time you do like the 6 month review can be a very helpful benchmark, because it's not all about the dollars, like the accumulation of money. It's also how you're feeling and how aligned money feels to some of the intentions and priorities you have for your life.
That is so good because when we said we were going to talk about our mid-year goal check-in, I can't remember what my goals are. Oops. So I'm not even sure where I wrote them down, but I know I set them. So I need to find them, obviously. But what I love is that I can answer those questions, right? I can, even though I can't remember what specific task or what specific thing I was trying to achieve, I can tell you whether I'm feeling better or worse about money. I can tell you whether I'm feeling more confident, whether I'm making more money, whether I'm investing more, all of those things. I do know those, right? So if you are listening and you're like me and you're like, what financial goals? I don't even remember, or I never set any. That is a really good way to start so that I don't start from behind feeling like I've already screwed up, right? By forgetting what they were. I can already be like, oh yes, let me take a little analysis about how I'm feeling about money. So that is really powerful. And I'm grateful that you shared it, because whether we set them and forgot what they were, or haven't been working on them, or never set them in the first place, we can still do a check-in about how we're feeling and where we are, and kind of almost start over, right? If I can't find my goals, I can take those check-in points, those checkpoints, and create some new ones moving forward.
Yeah, just having this conversation and now thinking about goals. I'm remembering one of my goals was because I kind of forgot to, and I'm like, where did I put them? I need to put them on the wall next time. Like, seriously, I'm thinking that right now. But one of my goals was to bring in enough income this past school year. I still work on school years um, to take the family on an amazing vacation to the Dominican Republic. And we just got back, and I'm like, wow. And while I was there, I was reflecting on I did it. We made enough money, not just me alone, my spouse, but I had goals on because my income was a little bit less this school year without some of my consulting work. And so a variable income can be difficult. If any of you out there are listening, I know the three of us have, that situation. And so to set a goal of like, I'm going to take my family, we're going to have enough money to go on a vacation, nice long, this is our dream. And to meet that, it just is incredible. Even though I set that goal and I didn't track it very well, I was very intentional over time. But like I said, I kind of forgot where I put them. It's coming back to me. It's got to be in my journal. I know exactly where it is now. But to get there subconsciously even, right? So even if today listening to this episode, you just start thinking about financial goals and kind of dreaming big, thinking about what's your why. My why was to travel with my family, to spend time after my daughter's freshman year at college with all four of us together on a trip, a relaxing trip, not a like high sightseeing trip, right? Subconsciously, that really helped me get there. Yes, it'd be better if I like tracked it, but we're human too. And, maybe for my next goal, I'll be motivated to do the next level of kind of tracking and data analysis. Um, but even just thinking today while you're listening to this episode, what are some of my financial goals? What do I want to accomplish in the short or medium or longer term? And you don't have to do all three. You can think of one or the other. Or what goals did I set? How am I feeling about getting there? Like I don't, it's really coming back to me quickly, but I don't know that I hit all my exact numbers that I set goals for, but I sure moved towards them. And I sure feel good about that now. Like we're talking about how do you feel in this moment? I feel good that I moved towards those income numbers. And then it's like, how much less did I spend as well, right? So we're constantly thinking when we're working towards our goals of like what's incoming and what's outgoing, right? And those two numbers can help us get towards those goals.
Yeah. I have some other numbers too. So from the more practical numerical side, the numbers that I like to think about or track or, update are just the overall net worth. So all the different accounts, investment accounts, bank accounts. I don't change the value of my house every 6 months. I kind of just leave that at status quo and then taking inventory of debts and just seeing what the number looks like. The really interesting thing about this past 6 months is the market had some very tumultuous times. So if you're not looking at your accounts, you probably aren't going to even be too surprised. Like things, have fairly recovered fairly well. But if you were looking a couple of months ago, it was a different picture. So, just updating the net worth number. And then when you're looking at what you have, it's thinking ahead. If you used your emergency fund, does it need a top up? Does that now become a short-term goal that you want to revisit and start a monthly transfer to? If you haven't made your retirement contributions yet, does now become a goal for kind of the last half of the year to get that in place? The other thing is to look at your credit score. So if you're thinking about home purchase or any other big purchase and you need credit for that, then checking where your credit score lands. And subscription check. So every 6 months, we all accumulate streaming services, different subscriptions. We try something out. There's a fee for almost every app out there. And a lot of us tend to fall off using those apps and then the fees just remain. So just doing that check-in just to make sure that you're still using them and refreshing what you're paying for.
I like that. I like how you're kind of methodical about it, right? You're like, I'm gonna do the big picture of like my net worth. I'm gonna look at these smaller things. I'm gonna work my way down to subscription. So it's like this mid-year check isn't just about the one or five or
Right.
however many goals you set, right? Five is a lot. So, but however many goals you set, it's not just about looking at the goals and how you've done on them, but it is about checking in with yourself financially, how not just how you're feeling, but like where the numbers are, and then using that as a guide for what's next. Do you want to keep on the path and working on the same goals that you've set in January? Do you want to just completely scrap them and start with new ones? Because that's okay. I think sometimes people feel compelled, like, I set this goal, I have to keep it until I achieve it. Like that doesn't always work, right? Sometimes we have to rethink about things. We have to reflect and say, you know what, that goal seemed amazing at the time, but now it's not going to work. And that isn't just true in finances, that's true in every aspect of life. Sometimes a goal seems great when we set it, and then after some reflection or some time working on it, we realize either it's just not realistic, or it just that outcome isn't really what you want in the end anyway. So don't hesitate to scrap a goal and start over, or revise it and make some changes. So using kind of all of the, I mean, Mary Lee is coming at us hot today with all of these things we need to do and questions to ask and things to check. So like using all of those things and then doing a little reflection and then deciding where you want to go next. Like now that you've made it halfway through the year and this is where you are, where do you want to go now between now, sorry, that was awkward, and the end of the year, right? These next 6 months, what do you want to look like at the end of 2025?
Well, and sometimes life changes a lot in 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and your goals might need a complete refresh. You may have changed jobs, you may be moving. There can be a lot of things that happen that we didn't know on January 1st when we thought about our intention and goals for the year. And it's just realizing like life changes, and the real power is checking in on your finances, because then you're making sure that they're kind of walking with you through all those different life changes.
I love that so much. So we want you to think about like how are you going to walk together with your financial goals and life changes? Yeah. And a couple just last second tips here can be to help you meet these goals is to automate as much as possible. Right? Like what can you automate paying your bills? Can you automate these things? And so if you're budgeting and tracking, you know what money's going out and it's going out automatically. You're not in like uh-oh situations, and then you're only spending what's left over after you have all these automations. It's also great to automate for some of those longer term goals as well, because it's hard to invest a certain amount of money for your retirement or the wedding or that house. But if it's little bits automated every single month right after you get paid, it's a lot easier to meet those long term goals, because you don't have to think about it. It just goes automatically, and then you also can't spend it because it's already spent on your future. Yeah.
I think that's great. And then also get some accountability, right? If you're like, there are these goals that I really want to work on, there are these things I really want to achieve, but I'm not doing it. Get an accountability partner, even if it's like your mom, right? Or somebody that you're like, look, I know you're not in the same place as me financially and you're not working on these same goals, but can you be like my check in person? Can we have a text exchange once a week and say, like, yes, I did this or thing, or no, I didn't, or find a friend who's interested in setting some financial goals and work on them together. It really, really makes a difference. There's all the science and research about accountability partners and doing things with somebody else rather than doing them in isolation. And it also drives home our mission, right? Having open and honest conversations about money. So find a friend that you can have those conversations with, and work on those goals together. I think it's really satisfying to achieve things for yourself, but it's also really fun when a friend or a partner accomplishes their goals too, and you know you had a little part in that, helping them
So
be
true.
successful. And so it's really fun to celebrate together. So hopefully you found some good tips in this. Hopefully you don't feel stressed if you forgot your goals like me. I felt mildly stressed about it at first, and then I was like, you know what, it's fine. Like, I'm going to find them. I'm going to figure out what I was working on and decide if it makes sense to keep going or start over. So, hopefully, you feel the same way and do some of those reflections on just your feelings and the emotional side of the finances. And then also looking at the numbers for where you are and deciding what's next. What makes sense at this point of the year, and how do you want to finish the year out? Share your goals with us. If you have questions or you want to share what you're working on, we would love to hear from you. Don't hesitate to reach out. And if you have any suggestions of things you'd love to hear us talk about on the podcast for future episodes, share those with us too. You can drop a comment or send us a message anytime. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good day.